Grief is inevitable, yet coping with grief can be difficult. So let's talk about that next on higher learning. Now, before I get started, I want to say that I am not a grief counselor nor a therapist. I am basing my comments today on my past experience, my seminary training, and those I have communicated with in my capacity as a minister of the gospel of Jesus Christ. Now, I believe once we understand grief, we can begin to operate within the content of that grief. I believe there are various interpretations of grief. While in seminary, I discovered that grief is intense emotional suffering caused by a loss. And these emotions are not always from the death of someone, but also from divorce, life transition, disasters, or misfortune. According to one study, grief is actually a complex set of emotions, all of which are normal, which I feel is paramount. Grief is normal. Studies also show that there are stages of grief, like denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. But experience have also taught me that you cannot rush the process of grief. Each of us reacts to our environment differently. So I cannot say to someone, it's been over a year now since we made the move. Get over it. That person may be missing those friends and families left behind and is having a difficult time adjusting. As keepers of our brothers and sisters, we must be patient. We must maintain the friendship that we establish. This is also a great time to be in prayer for those going through the grief process. We find solace in knowing that our Father in heaven is fully aware of the sorrow and grief that we bear. God understands. Isaiah said, he is despised and rejected by men, a man of sorrow and acquainted with grief. And we hid, as it were, our faces from him. He was despised, and we did not esteem him. Surely he has borne our grief and carried our sorrows. Yet we esteemed him stricken, smitten by God, and afflicted. Jesus Christ identifies with grief and sorrow. However, we also know that when it's all said and done, God will wipe away every tear from our eyes. There shall be no more death, nor sorrow, nor crying. There shall be no more pain, for the former things have passed away. So we operate within the content of this grief, knowing that the one who created us is able to comfort us, and that grief will one day come to an end. But with that said, we can imitate Christ now and show empathy to those going through this time of grief. We can wipe away their tears, hold their hands, or quietly be in the room. For I've learned that whatever the cause of the grief or of the sorrow. Just being there made all the difference in the world. But always know that when the grief is unbearable, please listen to me. Seek professional help. There are folks out there that will provide the support needed to weather this time of grief. So, yes, grief is inevitable, and coping with our grief can be difficult. But always know that you will never have to bury it alone, for the Lord is always with us. My brothers and sisters, be blessed.